Hi, friends. Welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. So today we're going to do a couple of things. I am going to give you a mid-year update on how my series project has been going, trying to read down all of the many series I'm in the middle of. Several months ago, I made a video where I finally counted up how many series I had been reading. And it was a lot. So we're going to go over it. And I wanted to make some progress. And I created a TBR of about 15 books um, that I wanted to read that would help me complete series. These were book series where I only had one book left to complete the series. So I have now finished all 15 of those books. I've finished other series, and I want to do an update on where we're at now, what I thought of the books that were on that list, and give you my new TBR of the next 15 books I'm planning to read to finish more series and get that number down a little bit. So, I hope you all are doing well. I had a extremely busy weekend. I've been working part-time for Brooklyn Comic Con, and I was working like 13, 14-hour days for the show, but I kind of chilled out yesterday, which was nice. So, I have slides for you. We're going to go through how things are going. We're going to talk about some books. It's going to be fun. Hey, Bronwyn, welcome. All right. Hello, small channel. Hey. Hello. Hi, everybody. All right, so let's take a look. Where were we and how are we doing so far? Hi. Stats, because of course, how it started. When I started this project, which I don't remember, I didn't look up the month that I did this first video, but it was several months ago. I want to say like maybe February-ish, around that. At that point, I had 88 series in progress, which is a lot. 28 series that I was caught up with, where there were more books to be published that were not yet published. And I had 87 series on my owned TBR that I had not yet started, or like the first books in the series, even if I didn't have the whole thing. I had, of the 88 series in progress at that point, 38 of those, I only needed to read one book to finish it or be caught up with it. So I created this list of 15. I read those with the aim of trying to bring this number down. So where are we now? Several months later. We're doing a lot better. So I now have 72 series in progress, which is down 16. I feel like that's pretty solid. My caught up, DNF'd, or finished series is now at 53, which is up by 25. So we are caught up or finished with, or in one case, DNF'd, 25 series in the last several months, which is great. And my TBR has also gone down from 274. So that's down by 13 from what it was. Currently, I have 24 series in progress where I only need to read one book to finish that series or be caught up. And that is down by 14, which tracks because that makes it's probably because there are some things that I've also been working on, so it's not like the full 15. But yeah, I feel like this is really good progress for several months. I still want to see it continue to go down, but I'm really happy with those numbers. Yeah, lots of progress. I think that's great. So I would like to see this number of series be significantly smaller, but we've made a lot of progress, which is awesome. So, what were the books that I read for this first part of it? I had made a TBR of 15. Yes, I'm very feeling good feeling good about it because it's a lot. I read a lot of series. It's all the fantasy that I read is part of it. Um, this was a mixed bag, and I'm going to go from my DNF, which might be controversial, so we'll see about that. And then kind of the lower ones, and then, well, the ones that I liked better of the 15 that I put on my TBR for this. Yeah, this is the first time I had ever tracked my series, but it was really interesting and it's been kind of fun. Hey, Tara. Just that I've made good progress. I haven't gotten into the specific book so far, but we're doing good. Nice. halfway through 26. I mean, that's great. The thing is too is like the typical person reads like 2 books a year. So I feel like anything people are reading is amazing. So, okay, so here are the things I did. I ended up you're going to hear about this when I do my June mid-month wrap up, but I DNF'd Painted Devils by Margaret Owen. I loved Little Thieves. Again, this might be controversial, but I loved Little Thieves. I found this to be really boring and unengaging. And I should have trusted my gut because I feel like I got to the end of Little Thieves and to me that was the perfect conclusion. I didn't want any more, to be honest. I like loved that book. I was happy with what that book was. But I was like, like we'll try it. People seem to like it. It was just not for me, so I'm DNFing it and DNFing the series, and I will just hold on to Little Thieves as a book that I think is excellent. That's where I've landed with that. So this series is no longer on my series TBR, which I'm okay with. I finished the Atlas 6 series, so the Atlas Complex. Honestly, I love the Atlas 6. I didn't love the next 2 books. I do think it's a good conclusion, but it's too long for me. So I gave this 3 stars, which is not a bad rating, but it's not a great rating either. That's fine. I'm just happy that I finished the series. I think it's good. Yes, I feel this way too. Sometimes series just need to be 1 book. I think we need to normalize fantasy being able to like be a book and tell a complete story and not having to always be a series, you know? Because sometimes that's enough. But um I also gave 3 stars to Anna K Away. This is the sequel to Anna K, which I also really liked. And again, this was a case of me thinking, I don't know that I need any more. I feel like the first book was a complete story. I was happy with how it ended, but I ended up getting the audio from Libra FM and I was like, what the hell? I'll read it. It was fine. Like, I personally, for me, I didn't think it was necessary, but some people loved it. I like standalone fantasies too. I mean, I like long series as well, clearly, but some books don't need to be a long series. I gave 3.5 stars to The Faithless by C.L. Clark. I think I will try the 3rd book. I want to see what happens because the parts of this that I love are really good. Like some 3-star reads are like the whole thing was just like middle of the road. This is a book where I'm like, parts of it were great and parts of it were boring. But overall, I still want to keep going with the series. So I think I feel like if it wasn't as long, there are parts of it that I'm like, oh, okay, this is not as interesting to me, but the elements of it that are, I mean, like, there's like some amazing scenes and where it ends up is really good. So yeah, I'll probably keep going with that. I completed this series, which was exciting. I gave 4 stars to The Cursed Rose by Leslie Vedder. This is book 3 in the Bone Spindle series. I think these are fantastic. It's a YA fantasy series that is kind of a gender flipped Sleeping Beauty retelling with strong female friendships. It's got a sapphic romance. It's got just like a lot of like curses and witches and high stakes and kind of a Indiana Jones vibe. It's really fun. I love it. I like the whole series. I thought it was great. So happy to have completed that. I also gave 4 stars to Night of Cake and Puppets by Laini Taylor. I think I probably would have rated this higher if I had read it closer to when I actually read the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, but it's really cute. It's very illustrated. It's a novella that is basically about the night of the first date of 2 fan favorite side characters from that series. So it was fun. It was cute. Yes. I think you're talking about the series. It is really fun. It's super entertaining. Yeah, it's really good. I like it. All right. I gave 4.5 stars to Heroes of the Water Monster by Brian Young. This was a really good follow-up. I liked the first book in this. It's a middle grade drawing like speculative fiction, I guess, drawing on indigenous mythology. And this one follows the younger stepbrother of the main character from the first book, and it's just really good. It's strong in terms of themes. I'm very happy that I read it. I think it's a good one. Yes, read the follow-up. It's so good. I also gave 4.5 stars to The Great Change and Other Lies by Joe Abercrombie. This caught me up fully on the First Law universe. It is a collection of short stories that was very good. If you like the First Law universe, it was interesting and entertaining and just gave you especially one of the stories gives you snippets with some of your favorite characters, which is fun and worth picking up. You can get this on Kindle, even though the hardcovers were limited edition. You can get the ebook. I gave 5 stars to The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. I thought this was a fantastic series finale. This whole trilogy is excellent if you like horror and slashers, and it's kind of a love letter, I feel like, to slasher films, but with a young Indigenous woman as the main character, and her story arc through these books is just so great. Yeah, he killed it. Also gave 5 stars to A Taste of Honey by Kaya Shante Wilson. This is, part of there's, like, 2 novellas in this series, and I wish he would write more in this world. We haven't gotten anything new from him in a few years, but I thought this was so good. It is kind of a sci fantasy novella that is also a queer love story, and there's court politics, and it's just beautifully written. I really love his writing. I hope we get more from him. I haven't seen anything come out from him in a while. I gave 5 stars to Kushil's Avatar by Jacqueline Carey. This was so good. Speaking of books that encapsulate a story, I think these are really interesting. So I read the first 3 because they're sort of the main trilogy, although I know the series does go on. And the thing about them is that each book is a complete story on its own. It's like seasons of a TV show, if that makes sense. And I love that. I wish more fantasy books would do that, to be honest, because these are the sorts of books that would often probably get broken up into a duology or trilogy. And I think this is great. You've never heard of this. Oh my gosh. Okay, Tara. This this is the third book after Kushil's Dart. So these are like, I would say modern classics at this point, political fantasy with a main character who is a high-end sex worker who gets involved in like spying and court politics and stuff. And it's really good. The world building and the character work is amazing. See, I love this, that the others in the overarching series are all like that. I think that's really cool when you can tell a complete story in one book for a fantasy novel, even if it's a little bit longer, and then just like move on and tell another complete story with some of the same characters. I really like that. We don't get that much of that these days. I also gave 5 stars to On the Way to the Wedding by Julia Quinn. This series, I have a love-hate relationship with. I love the TV show, the Bridgerton TV show. It's excellent. The book series, there are some of these books that I hate and some of them that I love, and this was a really good one. This is Gregory's Story, so it is the final book in the series. It follows the youngest Bridgerton, and it was really good. So, it was fun. Interesting. Okay. I may one day, but I feel like for now, I'm happy stuck because they are really long books, but it's good to know. Thank you. I gave 5 stars to The Narrow Road Between Dreams by Patrick Rothfuss, which I know we didn't get. Maybe one day we'll get book 3 in the King Killer Chronicles. That would be nice. But we did get an expanded short story that is now a novella that was illustrated. And I really enjoyed it. I had never read the original short story. Um, but I like his writing a whole lot, and I know some people were irritated because they didn't want this, they wanted the book. I get that, but I'll take what I can get, and I enjoyed visiting with a character that I like. Yeah, the show is really great. So, I think it's fair to just wanna watch the show. Yeah. Yeah, there are some later books in the series that are really not very good. There's some big highs and lows for me. But so far, the show has been amazing, and I'm so excited because we get the next 4 episodes of season 3 soon. I love Penelope. She is a controversial character. It's like some people really hate her. I love her. Okay. I also gave 5 stars to The Brides of High Hill by Nevo. Nobody's shocked because she's one of my favorite authors and I love her, and this was great. It is part of a novella series that are all standalone stories. Again, except in novellas, I guess this is kind of fun because it's standalone stories with repeated characters. And this one is a gothic horror fantasy novella, and I love it. It was really good. Also have love 8 with Bridgerton books, love 2 and 4, was okay-ish with 1, didn't like 3, and DNF'd 5. Yeah. I almost wonder if I should do, like, a full series review now that I've finished them. Would people be interested in that? Because I think it would be, that would be interesting. Because I have very strong feelings about some books. So maybe I'll do that at some point. Yes, Nevo Fan Club Assemble. Listen, I got to meet her recently and it's at the end of I did my like my birthday vlog, and at the end of that is I got to go see her at a book event, and she doesn't live near here, and got all my books. I brought all my books for her to sign. And it made my night. It was great. Yes, I also love Brides of High Hill. It's so good. Yay. I hope you enjoy. It's awesome. Yeah, they're older and it shows. I don't know. I think maybe I should do a Bridgerton video. I guess it would be relevant with the show coming out, especially. I'll have to give that some thought. Um, and then my one book from this TBR that gave 6 stars, which is a favorite of the year for me, was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, which I took so long to read. Probably because I didn't love Six of Crows as much as everyone else did. Like I liked it. I read it twice, but I was like, is it going to be more of the same? But it wasn't. It was so good. I think this is my favorite book from Leigh Bardugo. It's mm, it's really great. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be fun. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a series review of all the Bridgerton books. I think that might be an interesting video to do. All right, so what am I reading next? Let's take a look. I have 15 books. If I read these books, I will finish or catch up on the series that that book is in. So I like one book to go. This will do a good job of dropping my numbers even further, which is great. Have a bunch of books coming from Kickstarters. Same. Same. I am a sucker for a Kickstarter. It's a problem. I need to stop. I mean, I guess it's good I'm supporting Kickstarters, but yeah, same. Okay. Here was what I'm going to do. Number 1, Blood of Dragons by Robin Hobb. Um, we're almost done with this. I'm going to be reading it this month because we're doing a read along, so that's easy. So this is book 4 of the Rainwild Chronicles, and that will catch me up on this series. Even though I still have one more series to finish, The Realm of the Elderlings, I will do that next year. Yeah, I love Robin Hobb. I think she's wonderful, and I'm very excited to see where this series will end. Stay tuned. There will be a live show. Night's Edge by Liz Kerin. You know what's funny? The first book in this duology, one of my favorite books I read this year. I started book 2 and I have like struggled to keep reading it, which I don't think is a great sign. I really need to just sit down and like keep going with it. I'm partway into this and it's just a duology. But the first book was so good. And this one's fine, but it's different, but it's kind of a sci-fi take on vampires that's really also about like trauma. Yes, First Light by Liz Kerin. I loved First Light. It was so good. It made me cry. This one I'm having a harder time like really getting into. Um it may be because it's another one that it had a complete story and I was satisfied with the ending and I didn't really want more. I need to just like start to go with my gut on this, to be honest. Yeah, sci-fi it's I mean, it's really good, but it's really about, like, trauma and family dynamics and stuff like that. Hello. Oh, I'm so happy to hear this, Chantel, that's amazing. got met her and got her book signed at WonderCon this year because of the rag. I'm so glad she was lovely. She seems really lovely. And hopefully I'll get into this. Maybe it was just like when I picked it up. I don't know. I need to like get back to it, pick it back up and keep going with it because I did really, really love the first one. I am also planning to read Moira's Pen by Megan Whalen Turner. This is a short story collection set in the Queen's Thief series. So I've read all the books in the main series. I love them. They're so good and really unlike a lot of other YA fantasy. This, I think, is a really great crossover thing. Like, it's definitely written for a younger, like, it's appropriate. How to say this? Like, it's appropriate for teenagers to read, but it's written with a higher level of complexity to the world building and the characters that you would most often expect to see in adult fantasy. It's really impressive. The writing is fantastic. So if you haven't tried the series, I do recommend it. And I want to finish it with the short story collection she came out with like a year or two ago. I own it. I just need to actually read it. Some of these books you will see are things that I pre-ordered and just like haven't read. So that's some of this. Number 4 is still by Kennedy Ryan, another one where I loved, loved, love Grip, which is the first full-length book in this romance series. And I need to finish the story. I have had it sitting on my TBR forever. I even have the audiobook. I just need to do it. So I'm putting it on this list. The Last Life of Prince Alastor by Alexandra Bracken. Another one where I really liked the first book. It's middle grade fantasy with like some slightly creepy horror elements. And I this has been on my TBR for years, like probably since the year I started my channel, and I just have not gotten to it. And then I would finish the duology, so I need to just do that. So, or at least try it. Symbiosis by Nicky Drayden. Another one where I loved the first book. Escaping Exodus was fantastic. It's kind of like a weird sci-fi horror thing that's like queer and doing interesting things with gender dynamics, and it was great. And I want to read the next one, and I keep putting it off, and I need to do it. I've had this on so many TBRs for things and haven't gotten to it, so we're putting it on here. Love finishing a long languishing TBR book. Same. It is very satisfying to finally kind of get to something like that. Yes. Let's read Symbiosis. We can do it. Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse, which I think a box I have yet to open is my copy of this that has arrived. I don't want to wait too long on this pre-order because I love this series and I want to see what happens at the end. Part of me feels like I almost need to reread the whole thing, but I don't have time to do that. So I'm just going to do this and maybe one day then I'll read the whole series. But oh, these are great. Yes, you're right. The first one was a complete story too. Is this like a theme where when I'm satisfied with the first story, I don't want to keep going because I'm nervous it won't live up to the first one? That is probably the case because sometimes they don't. But this I want to finish. If y'all haven't read this series is so good. Like it's based on uh like ancient what's the time period? Somebody tell me. I'm sure somebody knows, but like I can't think of it right now, but like old history in like Mexico area and like South America, like drawing on some of that mythology for a fantasy series and lots of political fantasy and interesting characters and it's really good. Mesoamerican, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, another one I've been putting off. I liked Ninth House, which not everybody did, but I liked it. I've been nervous about how I was going to feel with Hellbent because I've heard such polarized reviews of it, but I need to just finish it and see. Yeah, it's got some Aztec inspirations. It's like drawing on a few different cultures, but yeah. But yeah, I just need to like finish this. I've been nervous about how it's gonna. Yeah, yes, I think it's like I think they say like Mesoamerican or something. It's basically drawing on like both of those from what I recall. Oh, this is great. posted a pic of filthy rich vampires and the picture on Insta and saw author said she was coming over. That's great. I love that. All right. Number 9, another one I've been putting off, even though I've really loved the other 2 books in the series, is Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence. I have had a love-hate relationship with Mark Lawrence. I've read some books that I really disliked from him, but I loved the first 2 books in the series. The 3rd book is not that long. I just need to finish it. Why has it taken me? Yeah, you have it on a shelf-destruct list. Okay, well, let's just read it. Let's get to it and get it out of the way. That's what we're gonna do. It's like these are the things that I'm like, I just need to read these books. They've been sitting there forever. But making lists like this does help me get to things, which is why I do them. Okay. Number 10. I thought let's do something easy and short since I've got so many long books on this list. A graphic novel, The Night Eaters, Volume 2, Her Little Reapers by Marjorie Liu and Sanak Takeda. This is a horror graphic novel, and I really liked the first one, and I want to read the other ones from the team behind Monstrous, which is also excellent. And so I could catch up with the series if I just read this graphic novel. It'll probably take me like less than an hour. So an easy one amid all the others. Number 11 is one of 2 books by Cassandra Clare on this list, things that I pre-ordered and still have not read. So The Last Book of the White by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Eldest Curses duology. Red Scrolls of Magic I liked fine, which was the first one. I'll probably like this fine. I just haven't gotten to it. I should do that because it came out I don't know how long ago, a while, and I haven't read it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's really different from Monstrous, because it's, like, contemporary horror, dealing with, like and it's set during COVID pandemic, book 1 is too, which is really interesting, dealing with, Asian immigrants. Yes, this is Magnus and Alec, who I do love. I do love them, so I need to read this. Book 12 is Into the Midnight Void by Mara Fitzgerald. It is the second book in a highly underrated duology. So, Beyond the Ruby Veil was one of my favorite books the year that it came out. It's this short and I should have pre-ordered this and I still haven't read it. I need to read it. It's this like short, kind of dark YA fantasy novel that is queer and has morally gray to villainous main characters, like female main characters. It's great. It was really, really good. And I feel like not a lot of people talked about it. Beyond the Ruby Veil was excellent and it was interesting. And I need to finish the duology. And it's just been sitting on my shelves. Is it because there are no audiobooks of it? Possibly. I find that does sometimes deter me from just easily picking something up, when I have other things I have to read physically, but I wanna get to this because I love the first book. I would recommend it if you haven't tried it. The Beyond the Ruby Veil was really good and had, like, an interesting mystery element to it. And here's the other one that they made audiobooks for every other book in the series, but not this one, and so this is the one I haven't finished. Requiem of Silence by L. Penelope. This is book 4 in the Earthsinger Chronicles. I listened to audiobooks for all the other ones, and they didn't make an audiobook for this one, and it's really long. It's like 500 pages long, but they are all really good. Kind of interesting fantasy world with romantic subplots, all excellent books, but because they didn't do an audiobook and because it's so long, I just have been putting it off and I need to go ahead and get to it. And I'm sure it's going to be great and it'll complete the series. Yes, no audiobook. They did not make an audiobook for the I hate when they do that. I'm like, if you are going to do an audiobook for the first like 3 books in the series, do one for the finale. Yeah. Okay. Number 14 is my other Cassandra Clare, Chain of Thorns. I probably have been putting this off because I didn't love Chain of Iron, which was the second book in the series. I really liked the first one. The second one was like fine, and they're really long. but I do wanna read it and finish the series and see what happens. So I need to get around to it. So we're putting it on the list here. And then lastly is The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. This has also been sitting on my TBR for a while. I liked the first book pretty well. Not a perfect book for me, but I thought it was a really interesting debut fantasy, and I do want to continue on with the series. So this one has like military fantasy and dragons and stuff. So African, kind of loosely African inspired, and I've been meaning to get to it. So we're gonna put it on this list. Uh, the first two and the last one doesn't have an audiobook. They do. I listened to them. Oh, you DNF to the first one. Interesting. Yeah, somebody should get her and Sarah J. Maas an editor. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like I do think sometimes it happens that you get really successful authors who can kind of get away with like book size creep and they get longer. You know who else does that has done that? The um oh God, Marissa Meyer, same thing. Like her books have also crept up in length to a point that they don't necessarily need to be that long. But yeah, it's all right. Okay, and that is it. So far, we've made a lot of success. I have dropped down from having 88 in progress series to 72 in progress series, and we have another 15 here to drop down. Um, yeah, from Cinder to Winter. That and then Gilded. Oh my God, I didn't even finish it because the first book I was like, this should have been a standalone. Why was this not a standalone? It was, yeah, it was so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so hopefully maybe in the second half of the year I can finish the other 13 and I will do some kind of another update and we'll see. The editor they has from day one is yeah, maybe. Sometimes I think it's helpful to change like to work with a new editor. I will say Cassandra Clare's adult debut was really good. And I think she was working with a different editor for that one. So I did really like that, and I'm interested to see how the second book is going. And she's really taking her time on it, which I think is probably for the best, especially with a second book in a series like that. But yeah, that actually was very good. All right, y'all. I think that's pretty much what I have for you. Hopefully we can make some more progress on these series and maybe this is inspiration to go see how many series you're in the middle of, even if it's a little overwhelming, especially if you're a fantasy reader. I feel like there's so many fantasy series and it can get to be a lot. Yeah, that's fair. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with me. And hopefully, I'll have more stuff coming soon. Um, it has been a very long couple of weeks with the part-time job that I've been doing, but now that the main show I've been working on is over, it'll be more chill for a while. I say that, and then the summer's coming with the kids, so actually I'll still be pretty busy for a while, but it's fine. I have ideas of things coming. I have not been reading as much as usual because I've been working so much. Um, but I'm still reading stuff. So stay tuned. I will have a mid-month wrap up. Probably that'll be my next video, I'm guessing. And then I'll have more things coming later this month. Have a great night, everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye.